Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world away, and check this out, we're going to be doing another completed build this week, and that means I'm going to be doing 14 stages, the Fanhome release of finally building Optimus Prime.
My name is Optimus Prime.
So Optimus is actually in bits behind me at the moment. Now we've done 2 legs, we've done the torso, we've done 1 arm, and I believe we're going to be doing the other arm, finishing this off today. So I've had to bring the stand up as well. I believe it's actually the stand that we're first going to be starting on in these 3 packs. As you see, I've got quite a few here. No idea how long these are going to take. I don't even know if this is still available, but once again, I have put a link in the video description, and there's also that QR code on the screen. But for the second time this week, let's complete a model without further ado. Let's get cracking. So we're going to start with stage 102. And I will go through the magazines here because there is a lot more to do in each magazine. So in this one, we do get the stand, which is going to go into the base. We've got these parts here as well. So we're going to be creating this, which is spring-loaded. So it's going to be able to hold Optimus Prime onto the stand for us there. And that's what it's going to look like when it's finished. So here we go, nice big metal rod in here. Let's get this open. And this perspex section here is actually going to be making the clamp that's going to be going around Optimus's waist. It's actually going to go on just like that. Okay. So the way I'm going to do this is take this spring, and that's going to be going into this section just here, like this. And then I've got a pin, which is going to go through all of those sections together. So it's coming out the other side. So then it can do this, just like a peg works there. Okay. I'm going to bring over the stand. Do you remember what this looks like here? And I am going to be putting now this post down the end here. And then finally we get to put the other end of this into the stand. So it's looking just like that. Now at the bottom of that rod, as you can see, there is a hole for a screw to go in. So once this is in here, I am going to be putting one of these, I think they're NM screws, into here. That's going to keep that post into place, just like that. And that's the stand complete. That's all there is to do in that stage. Okay, in stage 103, here's the magazine. And we are going to be doing, no idea, the right hand. So we are starting the final arm now. All the fingers. And there's a lot of them. And it looks like all the fingers have been separated into their own bags here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay them out just like they've got them in the instructions. So I've got large pins, medium pins, small pins, and all the fingers and stuff laid out here. I think we're going to be building just the thumb section first, which means taking one of these finger sections here and pushing that into the end like this. It's going to be held in with a medium pin. You do want to make sure you put it in the right way so that the top of the finger here, probably best on a top camera, is going over this section which has got the blank square in it like that. So it's that way round, put that medium pin in there. And this is where I'm going to need my pliers to push that all the way in. Then I'm going to be putting this end on here, just like that. And I need one of the long pins now, just to go into this side. And push that all the way down. So that is looking like that. Put this cover over the top here. So that's in place. And that is the thumb completed. So let's put that to one side. I'm going to demonstrate just making one of the fingers, and then we'll cut away and I'll do all the rest of them. So again, I want to make sure that this is this way round, and then put the finger on top here, a medium pin through this side, and I need to do that 3 more times. So that's 4 of the tops done. To all 4 of those tops, we're adding this top bit of armour there, just into that section. Do that 4 times. Then I'm just going to be making the bottom section here. So I've got some panels that I need to put on each side. So we've got left hand side panel. And then on the other side, the right hand side panel. Once again, I'm going to be doing that 4 times. That's all 4 of those done. Then I'm going to be attaching these to the top of the finger. So this is going to go in here just like this. And it's held in with one of the small pins. Just like that. And I'll do that again 3 more times. There you go. That's those ones done. I'm then going to be taking this section here, and I want it this way up with that square hole facing upwards, because I'm going to be putting the fingers on just like that there. They're held in with the large pins. Just like that. Again, do that 3 more times. And there you go. That's all the fingers and the thumb completed. So, 104. Here's the instructions. I'm going to be doing the right hand, so doing the palm section now, putting the fingers in, so we do have the hand completed, or kind of hand. We've got it in 2 halves. And here are those parts here. And the first part I'm going to need is the thumb, looking like this. And that's going to be going into the bracket just here. So I'm just lining up to make sure that's the right way round. It should be this way round here, because I'm going to be putting another pin all the way through this to hold these 2 parts together. Probably need my hammer for this one. Let's put that down there and bring over this palm section now. And I want to put all 4 of these fingers into place. And they can only go on one way. So you just put them on like that, slip them over the top. 2, 3, and finally number 4. Get the thumb in. Thumb's going to go in there, just like that. Now these fingers here are going to be held in with these PM screws. So just get 3 more in here. There you go. That's excellent. So as I said, the thumb is going in this way here, again facing in the same direction as the fingers. I want to hold that into place, so I've got this section here which is going to go over the top of everything. Again, top camera is probably best for this, but it's going to go on this way, so I'm just going to put that back in, put that over the top. There you go, clicks into place, and I've got 3 PM screws to hold that into place, just into the 3 holes at the top there. And one of the holes is just through this section just there. Perfect. So we've got a hand. I want to put the other side of this plate into place. Actually goes around this way here, and then push that down, looking like that. And then finally, this last section here is just going to hide that screw hole on this side there. So we've got a hand, and that's all there is to do in that stage. In stage 105, here is the instructions. And we are now going to be starting an ion blaster. Haven't we done this before? It looks like we're building another one. Okay, we're going to be putting this together. So then that's how that's looking. Quite a big pack, this one. Now bear in mind, we have already done this. I believe it's going to look like this. So I am just going to get everything out. And you know what, even though there's a lot of pieces here, you will find it will go together quite quickly. So first thing I want to do is take these 2 sections here and just line up the lugs, push these 2 together. Then I want to take this section and the one we've just created, and that's just going to go over the top here. Again, best on the top camera. And I'm holding that in with PP screws. Gonna need 2 of these. One there. Then I've got this metal part here that's just going to go over the locating lug there, so sitting into that section there. That's held in with an IP screw. This is a silver screw. Once that's in, I can close that off by putting the other side of this on. That's looking like this. And just push that all together. Just clips in. On the top, I've got a cap to put on. That's going to go on this way. You've got a large lug and a small lug, so it can only really go on one way. That clips in. And there we go. We've made that side. Now I'm bringing over some parts that we had from stage 99 here. And it's this part that I'm going to need. I've got this half to go into the top here, which is going to complete this top. Again, this is just a push in, like that. I've then got this internal part here, again on the top camera to put in, which goes on top like that. And in the hole just here, I'm going to be putting an IP screw. Again, one of these silver screws. That will keep that in. Then I've got this part here, which is going to go over the top there, and that's going to close that side off. Perfect. This one here is going to go at the top this way round. So that looks like that. On top of that, I've got a cap to go on, which is a little bit loose. I'm going to put a bit of glue on that. Perfect. Then I'm going to be putting this section on, so this slot here is going to go into the slot just there. And then this lug can go through that hole. Line up that. Push these together. Once again, I'm holding that in with an IP screw. Just through the hole here. I'm then going to be taking this part of the handle, and that's going to go over the top just here. And I'm holding that in with MP screws. These are flange screws. One there. And one here. Looking good, but that's one side. Going to be creating another top section here, which is simply just a case of pushing these two parts together and closing that off by putting this cap on. Whoops, getting it on the right way. There. And then this is just going to be going in this way on top here, onto this part, held in once again with one of these silver IP screws. And then this is going to be closing off this side here. So it's just a case of putting these parts together this way round and clipping them into place. Just like that. Excellent. And with that done, that's all there is to do in that stage. Here's stage 106. I'm guessing we're going to be starting the arm soon. Let's have a look. The right arm, here we go. We're going to start putting this arm together just like this. We are going to need this tool that we've had all the way throughout this build. So now that's looking like that there. And once again, I'll get all of these parts out. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is take this section here with this little ball joint. That's just going to go over the top this way round, held in with IP silver screws. And then on this side of the arm, I'm going to be having this piece here. Now this is directional, so I need to make sure I put it in the right way. It's going to go in that way there. Once again, two IP screws to hold that into place. Just put that to one side while I take over this bracket. And I have got a nut, or a locking nut, to put in this side here. So it's going to go in this way, just like that. And then this is where things are going to get a bit fun. So I've got these little ratchet bushes to go in. One goes in this way here, just like that. I'm going to be putting this in over the top this way round. So I'm going to be wanting a bush to go on this side here. And you know what I do? I remembered now when I did the last one is I did put a little bit of glue just in here to hold it in place. And what I've done on one side, I will put a little bit of glue just on this side as well. And put one in this way as well. Just going to let that set for a second. Because this is then going to go on here like that. Now I'm going to be putting this top section on, but once again I've got the last one of these to put on. I put some glue already in there, so I'm going to hold that into place. So these can't actually go anywhere. And these are actually different. This has got an indented groove. This has got an extruded groove. So then this goes in this way here, and this is going to be going over the top just here to hold that into place like that. Perfect. And then from the bottom here, I'm going to take this large screw, and I'm going to be putting a split ring, lock washer, whatever you want to call them, then a washer, and I'm going to be bringing that through the bottom here, so it's coming up the top. Then I've got this bracket to put on, which is going to go over the top here and fit in the groove just there. This is the one that's got the lock nut in, which just fell out, so I need to make sure that stays in there. And then holding it with my finger from the other side, we're using that tool that they gave us to screw these parts together. Excellent. I do want them to be fairly tight, but if I do need to loosen that, I can do that. But I've got it tight at the moment. If it is too tight, just loosen it a touch until you do get that movement, as you can see. Excellent. Just on this side, I've got this ring now to put in, which follows just the grooves on the top here, all the way down there. So it looks like that. And then I can take the hand section here. Now I can push this on the end, just like that. There we go. We have got the forearm completed. That's all there is to do in that stage. So stage 107, here's the instructions. And we've got these plates here, starting to do next part of the arm, like that. Get this one open, not as many parts in this one. Again, be careful of this. Look, I've got some washers and screws hidden underneath the card there. And the first thing I'll do is, holding this metal section here, I'm going to be putting this into place just over the top here. Turn it over, and on the other side I've got this plate then to put in, which goes on this way facing down over the top here. So that's together, and I'm holding that in with PP screws. And I need 4 of these. Excellent. Now on these 2 holes here, I've got some details to put in, which look like this, and they just go into the holes here. So one this side, like that. One this side, just here. And then we do have, again, those little ratchet bushes there. We don't do anything with, but that's the end of that stage. See, some of these stages are very quick. 108. Here's the magazine. Loads of bits here to put in. Getting this all in just like that. So that's how it's looking now. Starting to do the top of the arm here. And once again, I'll get all this open, just check under here, make sure there's nothing there, and I'll take these out of the bag. This one looks a bit fiddly. Magnifying glasses back into play. Now, if I just bring over this hand section again, we have got some bits to put in the side here. I'm going to be fitting these plates in now on the hand section. So basically, I need this one here. It's going to follow the contour of this section just here. So I'm just going to figure out where it goes. Stand by. Actually fits over the top just here. So it's sort of getting that section out like that. So one in that side, turn it over, and I've got one just to put in the other side here. So that's looking like that from the top. Okay. Going to put that to one side. Once again, I'm bringing over this section we've been working on, and I've got these tiny parts here from 107 to put in place. These are those, as I affectionately call them, bush ratchets. I do find putting a spot of glue on helps out with this. So I'm getting that on both sides there and putting them into place. And we're going to be putting these 2 parts together here. So where the hand is and this is just going to go in here. Going to be a little bit of pushing to get it in, but in it must go. Perfect. So that's in place there. Make sure you've got it in the right way. So it should be in that way. And then once again, take a screw, a split ring, a washer, put that through there. So it comes out the other side. And then once again, I've got a locking nut here, and then use my tool to tighten that up. Now on the back of the arm here, I've got this piece here to go in, looking like that. Now this goes under the top here, into that position. And then the bottom is going to fit into this little section just there. And we're going to be putting a pin in there to hold that into place. Got the pin in, then just my pliers to push that down. Now on the back, where we've got these two holes here, we're going to be putting this section. It just clips on like this. Now just into the holes here and here, I've got these to put on. So one's going to go on this way here, the other one will be going on the other way. There's a keyhole pattern, so they can only go on one way. They're slightly different. So I want the one that's got the bigger bend in it going on that way, there. And this one then will go on the other side just like that. Holding them in with AP screws. So just get that one in first. Load up another screw. Then I can put the one in this side. Perfect. Now, in the two holes here, I've got this detail. It's going to be pushed into this point here. Turn it over, and on the other side, I've got this detail to put in, which is just going to be going into the holes here. Then I've got all of these cables, which are different to put in. I want this one first. I want to put the slot of this into the slot just underneath that section there. Just push that down. The other side is going into this rectangular slot just there. Perfect, that's the first one in. Now the next cables that look like that, we've got a little tab just underneath this section here. That's that one in. And the other two have got tabs either side of this ball joint here. So one in here. Let's get this in. And one just this side over here. So that should look like that. And then finally, the last one is on the other side. So this is just going to go into the cavity here. I'm just going to push that down into position. And then the other side goes into the bracket just there. So that's all of those pipes on. Perfect. And then on this side here, to hide that nut, I've got this joint to put on. Just seeing if there is a way round this goes. Does seem to fit better one way than the other, so I guess that is directional there. But there we go, I've pushed that on as well. And that is all there is to do in that stage. That was quite an impressive stage, that one. So in stage 109, let's see what we're doing. I think that's a lot of the detail there, so these are probably going to be bigger parts now. Not as many as you can see. Putting this into place like that, so that's going to look like that there. And I'll get all the parts out for this. And then bringing the arm back over again, I've got this piece here to put in, which is just going to be going into that centre section just there, this way round. And once again, I've got a little pin that I've got to put through here to hold that into place. There you go, that's in. I will just use my long nose pliers just to push that all the way down. Also on this side, I've got this ring here, which is going to go into the two holes that we've got on this bracket just here. I'm pushing that in. I'm putting it that way round. It looks better that way. Okay. If it's wrong, I'll change it afterwards. It's just a case of taking it off. Picture's not really that clear with that one, I have to say. Okay. Got this panel here to put on. That's going to be covering the front section on these 3 points here. So again, I can just push this in. Excellent. Put that to one side and bring this section over now, because I'm going to be adding some details to that. The first one is this ball joint here. That's going to go on top here. It is a D-shaped pattern, so it can only go in one way. It takes some pushing to get that one in, but then I need a YP screw. That's these flat-headed screws here. Just through the top. And on this open side here, as you can see, I've got a ball joint that's going to just clip into there like this. And then on top of that, I've got this section here to go in like that. That's held in with a KP screw, just through the centre there. And then I'm closing that off by putting this section in here. Now once again in the instructions they've got these silver bits coming off in those directions there. With that in place, that's all there is to do in that stage. So at stage 110 we're just leaving Optimus Prime alone for a second, and we are actually going to go back to the Ion Blaster. So we're going to be adding some parts to that, looking like that there. Just get all of this out. And the first thing I want to do is take these two sections here and just put them together. D-shaped hole again, so they can only go in one way. So that's in there. This then goes onto this massive panel here. It's actually going to fit into this grooved section there. Just like that. Held in with a DP screw. I've then got this section here, so I need to put this panel in first to hide this side. It just goes over there. This is then going to be going on top of this section here, just like that. And that's held in with two KP screws. Got them here. And then bringing over what we've created from that, I want to put this hook section just over the top here. Into that position right there. Held in with a CCP screw. That's looking good. And then I can just add a barrel section here. So I'm putting the top of this on here. Yeah, I think it has just a case of putting that on like that. And then the end. So now that is looking pretty cool. And I'll put that to one side. That's the end of that stage. So we're on the last 5 stages of this build. Stage 111. Here's the instructions. And some larger parts here for the right arm. Putting that together like that. And quite simply, the first thing we're going to do is just push these two parts together to make kind of like a cylinder here. Looking just like that. I do want to make sure that the larger end is furthest away from this here. So looking at how I've got it there, I actually put that on the wrong way. This larger end needs to be that way round. In the end here, I've got this just to push in. There you go. Then I've got a cap to put on this section just here, which I'll get over the top. So that looks like that. And then this is going to go into the side of what we've just created here. And I'll push that in just like that. Now on the free end that we've got coming out here, I need to put this joint. It's going to go on this way, just over the top here, like that. And then that's held in with a ZP flange screw. Hiding that by putting a cap over the top of this. Now this does have grooves in it, so again this can only go on one way, so that fits flush. On this point that's coming out here, I've got another bit of, looks like armor or something. Again, this is shaped so it can only go on one way, so that's looking like that. And then we've got some fun. Let me put that to one side. I'm looking forward to this. Okay, put that to one side here. I'm going to be bringing over this pretty massive, amazing body section here. And we're going to be putting this leg on, which means, once again, I need to put these ratchets in place on here like this. So I am going to put some glue in these to help keep these held in. Just let them dry. I want to bring over the right leg, which is massive. Let's zoom some cameras out here. And I'm going to be putting the right leg onto this section just here. Perfect, just like that. Now from the back section, which means I've got to sort of turn it over, I'm going to be screwing this in with a TM screw. Now I have got that in. I'm going to use my bigger PH1 screwdriver to make this nice and tight. Don't mind saying, not the easiest thing to get in, but I have got that in. In the process of doing that, I have broke off my little mirror there. I can get that glued back on afterwards. But with that in, that's all there is to do in that stage. I did actually kind of resign myself to the fact that that was probably going to break off then. But I mean, once it's standing on the legs, it's going to be easy to actually rectify that. This is stage 112. And we've got some more panels here that we're going to be putting on the arm, looking just like that. And we do get to attach that last leg there. So get these parts out. Okay, and the first thing to do is to take these two panels here and just push these together. There is tabs just to make one little panel here. This is just actually going to go at the side of this top section here, pointing in that direction. And I've just got some parts that we're going to add to that. So I've got this one going underneath it. On the back here, I've got this one. We've sort of got going off in that direction. On the bottom, I've got this one. And then bringing over the arm, it's going to be pushing this into the 2 points this way round, lining up the holes there and pushing that in. That looks good. And take this panel. I've got detail here with a little notch in it, so this can only go in one way, just like that. Bit of armour here. That's going to go into the points just in these 2 points there. Sure, that's all the way in. And then this is going to be going onto this side just here, this way round. Looking good. Okay, put that to one side. And I'm going to be attaching another leg. So once again, I will drop some glue just into these points here for those bushes. And I am going to knead this over the other side because we screw it in from the back. So I'm going to try and get this in a position where I'm not going to hurt any more of those mirrors. It just feels very fragile. Okay, I'm going to push this one in here. Does seem easier to get to everything on this side. And then once again screw this into place. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this onto the stands then. I think it's going to be easier to have it on the stand when I'm attaching everything else. I can't resist showing how this looks at the moment. But there you go. So this is on the stand with both the legs now attached. And that is the end of that stage. So in stage 113, here's the instructions. And we've got some bits for the right arm now. Putting this on, looks like we're getting to mount one of the arms on now. It's all coming together, look at that. I think it was the legs that I was a bit more worried about putting on rather than the arms, because there is access to get the arms on quite easily by the look of it. So I'm not too worried about that. Let's just get all these parts out. And once again, we're going to be adding things to the arm that we've just created here. So first bit I need is this section here with all the flames going down it here. And I've got some details just to put on. So first one looks like this, which just presses into that center panel there. Then I've got a smaller one, which goes into this one just here. Oops, other way around. Perfect. I've got this big plate to go on this section here. Push that in. Excellent. And then this is going to be put onto the arm. And it's just going to go into the 2 points just here and here. Probably best on the top camera. Push that together. Now in the 2 holes I've got there, I've got this little detail to put on, which goes on this way just here. Push that into position. Perfect. So that is now how that's looking. Now, if you remember, I created these 2 things earlier on. in stage 111, I believe. Now they are directional because of the way this goes, so I want this one first. And I'm going to want to put those, they're called friction discs. They're calling these friction discs. I will glue these in again. Friction discs, I've got to remember that. I can never think of a good name for these. Now this is going to be going into this groove section just here. Just once I've got it worked in, like this. And I want to keep that hole aligned. Now once again, on this arm joint here, just on these sides, I'm going to be putting some more of those friction discs into each side here. So I'm putting some glue in. And I'll make sure that this is fully dry before I go on to the next stage. Quite hard to get that one in just under there, because obviously this is on top. Now I need a locking nut, which we're working on the right hand side, is going to go into this point just here. Have a screw ready, and once again I'm going to put a split washer down here and a normal washer. Very tight, but it's in. Then I can get the screw just through the other side here, which I've got in. That was quite tricky to get that lined up. It's going to take my time without knocking that wing mirror there to get this all the way into place. Make that tight. Perfect. And as you can see, the arm is in place. Now, I've got this detail here to put in, which goes into the little red things that we put into this arm. There is a hole on the far side one. So as you can see, that's in there. I've then got this piece to put in. 2 lugs here just going into the holes on the pit we just put in. Push that in. So that fits in just like that. I've got this detail here, which is going to go into the holes just at the side here. And here. Again, probably something we could have done while this was off of the arm. And then finally this detail here is just going to go over the D-shaped pattern I've got just there. All that's left to do then is turn Optimus around, and where there was a screw hole just at the back there for the nut, I've got a little detail to put in here. And with that in place, that's all there is to do in that stage. This is the penultimate stage. I've apologised, I had to put the air conditioning on because it's starting to get really hot in here now. So again, parts here for the left arm now. Putting all this together, and then we're going to be putting the left arm onto Optimus Prime. Look, it almost looks finished there. Okay, so I need this part here. We'll be putting some plating on this. So first bit looks just like this, and this is going to go into the holes just there like that. On top of that, we've got this one, which goes in there. Turn it over, I've got a plate just to put on the back here, which is just going to go into this section here. So it's fitting like that, and I'm holding that in with IP screws. Just need 2 of these. And put that to one side. Then I've got these tiny sections here. I don't know what these are, but I need to make 2 of them. So I'm basically just putting these 2 parts here together and then putting a pin through them, which are in this bag here. But be careful what pins you use. We want the really small ones. That's one done. Do the same on the other one. That's 2 of those completed. And then what I want to do is put the 2 together we've got here, because I'm about to put this section here in between them to hold them both in. Kind of like that. And then I need a large pin through the whole thing to hold them all in. That was really hard to do. But there you go, that's him. On the top of this, I've got a plate to put into the 2 holes here. I don't know what we're creating here. No idea. Then I've got yet another little bracket to put on there. And that's held in this time though with a QM screw. And then what we just created is going to go into this section just here, on the part we created at the start. It sort of clips in like that, but there you go. That's how that's looking. This is actually going to be going in a keyhole pattern that I've got just here. So it's going to fit on just like that, but it's held in from the other side with an AM screw. So I am going to have to just lift the arm up to get that in. Now this detail can move up and down, as you can see. What I want to do is just get behind this detail, because I've got a part here just to put over 2 lugs. Just going to get into place, lift this arm up a touch, just like that there. I can hide that again there, like that. Okay, bringing over the one that we had for the other arm, we're going to start putting all this together now. So I can just take that part off there. This is what we're going to be attaching later. Once again, I'll whiz through it this time. Put the friction discs in. And then what we're going to do is exactly what you just saw on the other arm. So I'm going to do that off camera. I'll show you what it looks like when the arm's installed. Now I'm deliberately not showing you the end of that stage. It's actually behind me here because it's the completed Terminator, and I want to tease you to the end because we're now moving on to the last stage. So that leaves us onto the very last stage. There's not much to do in this. Now, a bit confused about this one, I have to say. They're talking about an alternate head here. I don't know what that's all about, but I like the head the way I've got it at the moment. They do provide a tool for actually taking this apart, but I'm not going to be doing any of that because I've already installed the head. I'm happy with it. All we're really going to be doing in this stage is building the other sword, which we've already done. As you can see, we've done one here. So we get 2 blasters, 2 swords. They also, check this out, look, I spent so long fixing these, they do provide some extra mirrors. So I can just swap them out. And then that's all there is to do in that stage. I've already put batteries in this, so we're pretty much ready to demonstrate how it looks. So let's just build this other sword first. It looks like the alternate head has this mask section in here. I'm not going to use that. I'm really happy with the head at the moment, so I'm going to keep it away from that, and that's the tool for that as well. Now, when you do the alternate head, they've gave us this part just here, and then obviously you'll take all the parts off and reattach that, but I won't be using those. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the sword then, put this over the top here, so this all comes through on that side, and I'm going to close it off by putting the other side of the sword on. It's that simple. And there we go, that's the other sword made. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how these get attached. I'll put 1 blaster in and 1 sword in, I think, and then we'll look at some beauty shots. So I'm going to put the right hand side blaster in first, which is this one here. And obviously we've got left one as well. And all we're going to do is put this down this sort of like section there. It just slides on. That's it. That's how you put the blaster in. You can then wrap the fingers around just the handle there. And we do exactly the same thing just onto the other side here with the sword. It just slots into the gap that we've got here. Now to turn Optimus Prime on, I just take this cap off here and flick the switch, and I can put the cap back over the top here. Now the switch behind the head is going to turn the lights on the head. Let's show you what the whole thing looks like. And I have turned off some lights in the workshop so you can see the lights on with the head there. This is how it's looking. And then with the remote control, when I push the button, these lights come on as well. That is the finished Optimus Prime. And it looks pretty cool, doesn't it? It's another model which I'm so impressed with how it looks. Absolutely brilliant. And there you go, check that out. So if you want an idea of scale, this is me next to it. It's got a bit of fun now, hasn't it? But there you go. I love another completed model. I really hope you liked that video. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Other than that, take care.